Welcome to Clarity in Action. This is the show where we have real conversations that are going to challenge your perspectives and drive real action. So if you are tired of holding back and you're ready to make bold moves, this is the show for you. Join us as we are going to take you from confusion into clarity. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Clarity in Action. You know, if you want to achieve success, you need to have systems. We know that they give us the foundation, they give us the structure, and they really connect us and help us stay in the game so that we can control our business and our business doesn't control us. Even though we know all of this, so many of us still struggle not to just create them, but also to follow them. So what we're doing today is we are breaking it all down. We are talking about the importance of having systems, and we're going to talk about the cost of not having them. And to have me with this, I have a powerhouse. This woman dominates her business field and has created an amazing structure to help so many other people. So Rose Tausaga, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Clara. I'm beyond thrilled and honored to be here.
Well, we are going to be just really diving deep, and I'm excited because you really have learned the power of systems firsthand. And before we get into your story, I would love to just get your perspective. You know, that's the whole point of this podcast. It's to change the perspectives. So why do you think we have a skewed perspective or a misnomer about the benefit of systems?
I think people complicate things more than what they should. And when you are not familiar in how to run systems into your business, it can seem very daunting because not everybody thinks in a systems mindset. And I think that's where it all kind of stems from and begins with. And so if you're used to operating your business in a every day, we'll see what happens, and then you throw systems into it because you never have, it can seem a little scary. Or maybe you don't have the time or the infrastructure or the knowledge to make sure to document and to create the systems to make sure that every client receives the same level of service. So sometimes it can be a little bit of scarcity of how do you do it? Maybe you're not familiar with how to structure it. And also maybe you're too busy to where you don't have the time to be able to create the systems.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about being accidental. I kind of refer to that as being a Pop Tart. You know, you just kind of wake up and you're like, what am I supposed to do? And, you know, regardless of how large your organization is, whether it's one or 100,001, you know, you have to have those systems. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, especially, they get into the business because they want that flexibility, they want that freedom, and that doesn't align with systems, because systems mean structure, systems means rigidity, and I think that their brain has a hard time computing that. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And as you were speaking about that, a couple of things popped in my head. One is we do get into the business as a mom of four, my husband owning a very successful company as well, and me operating my business with four children doing travel sports. It's that Pop Tart mentality, right? We just go with the flow. Where am I going to be at today? Right. And I think the biggest thing is restructuring your mindset to know that having this system is going to get you what you want to do and where you want to be faster so that you can do those things and be present, but also never lack that service that your client deserves or accidentally forget to send something because you have another call coming in or whatnot.
Mhm. Yeah. So let's kind of rewind time a little bit, because you were one of those people that didn't understand the power of systems until you had to. So tell us a little bit about your aha moment when you came to realize the importance and the power of having systems in running a sustainable, successful business.
Absolutely. So being an agent for going on 11 years now, my life, I built my systems in 2017. And what really structured that to be able to make that happen for me was I went to a conference and the speaker said, if you were to get hit by a bus today, would your business survive? And I was sitting next to a blogger who made a lot of money. And I thought, well, wait, what am I doing? All these questions going through my mind. But that stuck with me. And so I came back from that conference. I ended up starting to build and document every single part of the process of my systems. And I was able to start to implement those and I started gaining time back. But my bust, getting hit by the bus was in December 2024. I had a 10 millimeter kidney stone. I had two surgeries. My second surgery, I ended up having or catching sepsis in the hospital, fighting for my life for 4 days. In the mix of that, I was selling my house, who my high school friend purchased my house. I was buying my house that I'm in today from my sellers who I was representing, on top of all of my clients that I was serving at the time. Couple
And
days right
still
before.
running a household with 4 kids.
Yes. Yes. And so when I caught sepsis in the hospital, I had transactions that I was working on. And if I did not have my systems in place, my mindset was not at all on my
Mhm.
clients. It was, am I going to be able to get home? Am I going to see my kids graduate? Am I going to see my kids? They wouldn't allow my kids to come see me in the hospital. And so at that moment, I could not focus on the emails that I was going to send to my clients or the text messages that I was going to send to my clients. But thank God for my systems, because I was able to copy paste, implement a couple of things that I knew was going on to be able to make sure that my clients receive that level of service that I make sure to have an upkeep in my business and the level of service that I provide. And if I did not have that, it would have cost me $50,000.
Wow. That's crazy. And, it's what I find interesting is, you didn't come right out of the gate with these systems. As you mentioned, you really didn't implement these until 2017. So you had already been in the business for a long time and it had
Mhm.
success. I think that's the thing. And I would love to get your thoughts on this. I think it's that mindset. You have to reframe it that systems bring you freedom. They
Yes.
bring you power. They bring you peace of mind. So, can you
Yes.
talk a little bit to that? Because again, you needed to have your mindset, you needed to have your focus somewhere else
Yeah.
and still have your business go. And that's what systems allowed you to do.
Well, I want to share three things as you're mentioning that. First thing is having an assistant. So I had an in-person assistant for 4 years. Because I have built my systems to where they are at, I have saved over $100,000 every year because I used to bonus my assistant over $100,000 a year, and I have virtual assistants now working for me. So that has gained me one, income back into my pocket by having these systems. Number one. Number two, I don't have to worry about a language barrier, right? And I think that's a big, misconception of having virtual assistants is, oh, there's the language barrier. Well, that doesn't matter because you've already created the systems that are going to be sent to your clients to make sure that they're in touch. So in all honesty, I could have a teenager run my systems, because it's plug and play. It's ready to go. It's ready to be done. So that's the first thing. In terms of money and having staff and overhead, because that can be very stressful. If you have an overhead, whether you close a deal or not, you have to pay for that person. You're paying for their family, right? And so that was a big stress. Second thing is, as we talk about systems, is just the ability to be able to have that extra 10 hours in your week, to be able to, maybe that means, what does that look like in your life? I think that's the first question you want to start off with. Is that you taking an extra walk in the
Mhm.
evening time with your spouse or with your children? Is that you being able to really sit down next to your kids and focus on the homework and helping them without having to think of in the back of your mind, I got to send this email, I got to do this, I got to do that. What do I need to do? Right. And then ultimately also looking at what those 10 hours can gain you in getting more business.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Mhm.
you can be able to have the mindset of, I can help 5, 10 clients because every client will receive the same level of service no matter their budget. And
Mhm.
that's ultimately what the part of the process of having systems is so important and crucial in your business, personal, professionally, and also financially.
Definitely. So in looking at this, if I'm hearing you correctly, some of the costs of not having a system is definitely money. Again, like you said,
Mhm.
they have helped you be able to be more effective and efficient with your money and actually net more money at the end of the year. So it's not just also about making more money, it's about netting the money that we make. It
Yes.
sounds like it's also the cost of time. This
Mhm.
eliminates and allows you to be more present and invest your time where it really needs to be invested. And then just also the sanity and the growth of your business. And this is something I really would love for you to dive into a little bit more because you've brought it up a couple of times that it allows you to give the same level of service and the same consistency of service. Most people, I firmly believe that every business, it really doesn't matter what you do, every business at the heart of it is relationships and referrals.
Mhm.
When you are haphazard in your delivery of services, regardless of if you're a plumber, realtor, Fortune 500 company, it doesn't matter. If you are not consistent in how you deliver the quality and the level of the experience, it makes the people that you work with nervous because they don't see
Mhm.
consistency and it causes them to question it. And one of the studies that I read is that your inability to show up the same way and have that consistency can actually impact your income by 20 to 100%. So I would love to have you talk about how this has helped you to grow your business, not just from current clients, but from referrals by being able to allow and be able to bring in that same level of service.
Yes, I'll touch on one thing that has made me over $150,000. Just this one thing. So, in my systems for the buyers and also the sellers, when we close escrow on their moving day, so on when we close escrow, I meet them at the property if they're purchasing the home with the gifts and all the things, and I let them know, and I pre-schedule this email to go out 2.5 hours after I'm supposed to be at their house. So if I'm meeting them at 6 p.m., this email will go out at 8:30. One, I'm not going to be at the house for that long, but I do let them know because I want them to appreciate, and I want them to appreciate where their journey and to take in that moment. And so I don't want to take away from that. So I go to the house, do my video, capture those special moments, and then I leave. But before that, I let them know, hey, you're going to receive an email from me as soon as I get back to my office. And in that email, it's going to have a pizza form. In that pizza form, I want to make sure that I eliminate the stress on your moving day. I personally deliver the pizza. If I physically am not in San Diego to deliver the pizza, I will have the pizza company have it delivered. One big thing that I do is I have a Sharpie that I write on the pizza box and I put welcome to the neighborhood. And I have all of the local pizza guys sign, or pizza women, whoever's working there, sign the box. What did it cost me? $4 for this. And it goes such a long way when I go to deliver the box of pizza. Okay. Because one, when most people are moving, they're moving and they're taking time off of work. So their coworkers are waiting to know what drama happened in their move. Did they get a flat tire? What did their bed break? Whatever, right? And so when they go back to work and they go, oh, well, my realtor came with pizza. I didn't have to worry about dinner, right? It's stressful. You forget and lose time, lose track of time when you're moving. And so when I come with pizza to feed your family and a box of chalk, always, if they have kids, it's a box of chalk, and I have your kids entertained, your kids fed, you fed, you're going to go back to work and you're going to rave about you not having to really necessarily worry about the stress of feeding your family on the biggest day of your move, right?
Mhm.
And so, just from that one tactic, I represented a buyer who ended up referring me the coworker. The coworker ended up purchasing. Now I helped her buy her second home, and now I'm helping the buyer sell their home. And so just that alone has made me over $150,000. And tying that back to systems, why that's so important is I don't have to think about it. It's
Right.
in my system. Every client will always receive that. And so a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm not going to do this because this is a lower price point. No, you do that for every single client because that client may refer you a way bigger transaction that you never even thought you would be able to help or
Mm.
assist.
Yeah. And I love this idea of not having the time and also the mental energy. Our brains, we we go through over 80,000 decisions and thoughts a day. And there's something out there called decision fatigue. Our brain is a computer. And if we have to stop and make all these decisions, it bogs us down. Now, you're giving some great examples because you are in real estate and all these things. But I would imagine a lot of these things could pertain, whether you're a dentist, a hairstylist, a veterinarian. I mean, talk a little bit about how systems can help just to create that experience and that level of service in any industry.
Absolutely. So one of the things that the first thing you want to do is really establishing what type of industry you're in. So if you are, for example, a dentist or a doctor, that first experience may be the scheduling of the appointment, right? To get them into the physical office. That might be a video text that gets sent out saying, "Hey, we're so excited to welcome you into our office. Just make sure to bring, your insurance card, your ID to verify identification. We look forward to assisting you. If you have any further questions, make sure to reach out." And then that will be once they walk through the door. Maybe there's an intake form, right? And then from there, it's the taking them back. What are those key questions that maybe you can train your entire staff to be able to ask, the potential client, right? Or patient. And then from there after, right? What does that receipt look like? Is there a 5-star review, request that gets sent away that they can be able to give a review to your company, to your business? And then maybe sending a follow-up text message with another video. We hope you had a wonderful time at our at your appointment. If you have any questions, please feel free, reach out. We look forward to seeing you at your next checkup in 6 months. Right?
Yep.
Just that small, instead of schedule the appointment, you go in, you're scared, and then you leave and you're like, oh, well, that was a lot. It's more so having something streamlined where something that can sound so scary can be able to be systemized to where they receive that same level of service every single time they're calling. And they know that you're going to take care of them.
What I think is really interesting is we're talking about, running transactions. What systems do, though, is even though they quote unquote manage and run the transaction, what they do on the back end is they're able to take it from being transactional to being relational. So
Absolutely.
again, it's the system of doing that, but to create more of an experience and make it more human. And that's what I love about it. So, and I would love to hear, because I know that learning this for yourself, you want to help other people and you have actually created an amazing system. And I would just love to have you share a little bit of, what is next for you and how you want to go out there and pay it forward.
Absolutely. So I started a company called Epic. It stands for Excel, Produce, Ignite, Connect. It is the plug and play systems from the very start of the transaction to the very end. We have our systems offered in English and in Spanish for solo agents and for teams. And what makes this different, it is literally a mix of Canva templates, email templates, text templates, action items of what to do, everything customizable for our clients, for you as agents. And ultimately, it gives that level of service where you don't have to think about it. We also have AI integration, which is amazing. It's through Claude, and you can customize it to be in any language, as well as making the template be more professional or sound more friendly. Also, we have a client portal where your clients will be able to have access to seeing every single part of the transaction as an org chart. So when you mark, for example, the client's been pre-approved, the client will receive an email to access their portal advising them that you as the agent has marked their pre-approval status as completed. And from there, they're able to have a brief description on every single part of the transaction to eliminate also the contact of asking so many questions to their agent. And maybe the agent doesn't really know because maybe they're a newer agent, but it'll have a brief description of what pre-approval means, right? What does the appraisal mean, right? And so they're able to see that and it'll be marked as complete. And so something that's really valuable about that is not only are they receiving the customer service via email, right, text templates, but they're also able to see at one hand at any time that they can access their client portal as to where they are in part of the transaction. And they can reach out to you through the client portal directly by phone or email. So it's streamlined. line. It's there to give that service that your clients deserve.
Yeah. What I love about it is it integrates, so much of making sure that things don't fall through the cracks so that it's bringing clarity and confidence to everybody. It is also really improving communication because we all know, regardless of what type of work you do, anytime something goes wrong, 98% of the time it can be pinpointed back to miscommunication. So this really keeps everybody in alignment and I just love it and I love that you're learning from what helped you and you're being able to pay it forward. So we're going to put the links to all of your information in the show notes so that if people are interested either for themselves or again for their teams, they can reach out to you. And Rose, I know that you are one busy lady. And so I have one final question that I really wanted to ask you in our time together today. And that is sitting where you sit now and learning everything you've learned up until this point. How do you define success for yourself?
Ooh, that's a good one. Knowing that at the end of the night, when I lay my head down to rest, that I took care of my clients the best that I could for that day. And that's one big thing that can be very heavy on us as business owners is our mindset of, did I do enough? What did I do? How did I do it? What could I have improved upon? And so when you have the systems doing the work for you, you know that you did everything you could to protect your client's biggest financial commitment they're ever going to make, besides having a baby or getting married. And the fear of the unknown that the client has always in making a first purchase or a move up or a first time seller that wasn't educated, you know that you did the best you could. And that to me is the ultimate definition of success.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, Rose, thank you so much for sharing today. I know that your message is going to resonate with so many and really help them get started in building these systems and to understand that they are there to help them become the best version and to deliver the best of themselves. So thank you and all the best to you for continued success in all areas of your life.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.